Hello everyone. It has been a very long time since our latest and greatest broadcast. I know, you're immediately wondering. This story of valor. Sadly, I cannot report on what our General Izuku is doing. After all, it's above my pay grade. But I will tell you, with absolute honesty, that the war is on hold. After all, we still need to recover from a recent event. But regardless of the fact, Izuku, I know you're listening. You said you were a fan. So, I tip my hat to you, Vice President. Regardless, this is the end of our broadcast, so please rise for your national anthem. Now that our intros is taken care of, welcome back to What If Izuku Midoriya was special. Granted, I put this on hold for a damn good amount of time. But let's be frank, I've fallen back on Fallout after, can't just be playing Warframe to my own chagrin, but hyper-focusing on leveling in Warframe is somewhat boring at times. But it grows on you. But we have this to look forward to. We are no longer focusing on a war map. We now focus on Izuku and Izuku alone. On a covert operation. Deep, and I mean deep, behind enemy territory in Boston. An interesting place for certain. And hence, he was in Boston quite a bit. I will tell you what has happened so far. Izuku has learned about Vault 111's blunder, as well as checking out this settlement over here. Now, since the lone survivor does not exist in this scenario, there's a lot of things that are different. A significant amount of things. So let's get to those things. The Minutemen scattered. They're fucking gone. Alright? Sadly, Preston ain't gonna be bitching in Izuku's ear. There's another settlement that needs your help. Fuck off, man. But, and the Brotherhood, once they came to this branch, and Izuku does see another Predwin, like the Predwin, right? So that's a fucking immediate whoop. This is a must-have location, Boston Airport. He appeared in Weston, which, to be quite honest with you, he's trying to get satellites up, specifically the relay tower here. Izuku is up north near, well, to be honest, he didn't appear down here. He walked his ass from Concord. He appeared at, if all of you know, Bob's fucking peekaboo hole, whatever the fuck it's called. But regardless, he appeared near there, and he's seen the blatant fact that someone apparently seen him already, and he doesn't know where the fuck he is. Right? So that's already like, okay, this is bad. My cover's already blown. However, but Izuku is in disguise, so he's hoping that he could fake it till you make it. He's just looking like a waster. Good old-fashioned running through the wasteland with a gun. This does mean he does not have power armor, amongst some other stuff. I'm not gonna lie to you. Raiders have taken over Concord and most of the southwest area of Concord on the map here. The north is still being held pretty well. Abernathy Farm is basically we come over there, we hassle you for food and shit. If you don't, we'll kill you. So, it's basically how you found it, but a lot worse. Because people are in slave collars. But Izuku needs to get a fucking radio beacon up, and according to the map that he did have, there was a satellites array, right, pretty close by, near a junker. So, he ended up passing through the town, which Codsworth is dead. You're probably acting like, whoa, wait, what? Cods is dead? No shit. I want you to think about something real fast. If I told you that the entirety of this side of the map has been taken over by fucking raiders, you don't think they won't send fucking search parties over here? Codsworth is not that strong of a follower, man. Like, he isn't. You know? So it's one of those. That and like other locations in the area would have been scouted, so most of the resources are either composted in this small... Well, actually, no, there wouldn't be anything on this side because there would be boss here trying to fucking kill them. But, regardless of the fact, it would mostly be put into the town of Concord, like all the supplies and shit. So when Izuku learns of these raiders after getting in a small firefight with one small group in the scrap pile, and learns that, hey, all the resources they have are in Concord. Alright, that's good to know. We could have a fallback point there. So he moves his little ass to this satellite tower, realizes that it's in is fucking compromised by more fucking raiders, and it's being used as a fucking listening post by the raiders to jack into any unfucking bound comms. So Izuku's kind of fucked, because it's either the boss probably has more radio distance because he does know about these signal towers in these areas, and personally, that's really fucking bad for him. He does have an encrypted channel, but if as soon as an encrypted channel would pop up, there would be some questions, wouldn't there? Because raiders don't use encrypted fucking channels. That's too fucking smart for them. So who the fuck's using encrypted channels? So Izuku said, fuck it, I'ma just go down. So what he does is simple. He edges his way back across the side of the map, killing like a couple raiders, taking their ammo and caps and bouncing them, as well as the chems. Do not forget the chems. But then Izuku begins working his way down, sneaking past raider gangs and other sorts. And then he comes across a church, which, according to his location book handed to him by most of the military, there should be a cache in a small military outpost fairly close to his position. So he says, fuck it. He goes down a little bit further, and he realizes that there's a mercenary group holding that an entire place. That mercenary group is called the Gunners, which he has had dealings with. But sadly, gunners are gunners, and gunners to Izuku are worse than the red fucking Crimson Caravan. So he gets out his fucking anti-material rifle, he loads that bitch, puts a silencer on it, it's not going to do much, and begins opening fire with his infrared scope in the dead of night. Right? And the muzzle flash is being dimmed by the now on fire construction equipment, turrets, and other such things, as well as their now blown up vertibird. There is a lot of bad things happening. Unknowing to Izuku, that literally down here, which it takes like 10-20 minutes for people to run over here, but these people have a vertibird, and this is a military outpost too. So Izuku just kind of fucking poked the gunner's nest, which is literally all of Westington. All of Weston. Now, there's a reason that I'm saying Weston is the gunner's nest, because I'm not gonna lie to you, Weston is one of those places to where it's neutral as fuck, right? But more along the lines, to say that Izuku is stupid would grossly underestimate his intelligence, right? Because not even Didi or fucking any of his people are here. This is literally him by himself in enemy territory, because this was a covert op. They needed someone to scout ahead. This was the final stop that they needed to go. Oh, because this is fucking New York City. And they know Izuku's not afraid to get his hands dirty in the slightest. So, after killing the people in this outpost, he decided, alright, I'm gonna wait for like 20 minutes. They didn't know where Izuku was, by the way. Like, he had an attachment to his gun that hid the muzzle flash, but it's still an anti-material rifle. Granted, it's suppressed, but it's still a pretty loud fucking noise because it's an anti-fucking material rifle. But regardless, he would see two vertibirds fly overhead, drop two fucking power-armored individuals, and they would realize everyone's fucking dead, right? The first thing they would think, oh, raiders. And then they realized they had a treaty with the raiders. So it's probably not them because the raiders are afraid of them. So they're like, why the fuck are they... What the fuck? Who is doing this? Like, why? Why the fuck do people have a death wish? Like, what the fuck? And as soon as one turns their back to talk to the other, and it's like, so what the fuck are we gonna... And he gets hit directly in his power core, on his back, and explodes, causing the other man in power armor to go stumbling back, the chest and helmet of his power armor being ripped open. And to say that that bullet didn't pass through that other guy is a mistake, because after that explosion went off, granted it moved the bullet slightly, but its trajectory was true, and that shit still hit the other guy. So, during this time frame, Izuku takes a deep inhale and an exhale. And then he takes aim at the vertibird that has two gunners on it, one of them with a rocket launcher, and they start flying off. And Izuku's like, I'm sorry, no survivors. And fires at, specifically, I would say at the left propeller of the vertibird, hitting it once, causing a very loud, how ka-thunk could be heard as that engine almost immediately begins to give as the right side would lean up. It would go into a death spiral, causing both of the gunners to be flown out of the seat, the gunnery seats, and just fucking hit the ground. An explosion would be heard in the distance to this other gunner outpost, and they'd think, oh shit, the boss took over the fucking Raiders territory. Like, because there's a reason that this map that I have is segmented up. Because Diamond City is a neutral playground. Boston itself, this entire Cambridge and fucking Boston, is a no-fight zone. This is a place where everybody could go to except for the Raiders. But good neighbor, they don't really give a fuck if you're a Raider. We all know who runs that place. Best companion. But regardless of the fact, excuse me, I need to use the bathroom real fast. In all reality, Manford, Salem, and the Boston airport, and the island in Quincy belong to the boss at this moment. Now, Natick and South Boston, this is Pharaoh Ghoul shit. Just all in fucking South Boston. This is Pharaoh Ghoul Central, motherfuckers. This is bad place. Bad place. Like, no bueno. It fucking sucks there. But, there is, if I am correct, yeah, no, there is a vault in Natick. But Naptic specifically, ooh, hyper-intelligent death claws. And yes, the Institute is still where they are. They're still right here. All up in this bitch. But, Izuku stung the fucking hornet's nest, so as Izuku goes in and raids what little he can from the downed vertibird and the place in general, it takes about, all in all, 15-20 minutes, as like 15 to 20 guys roll up, 4 of them in power armor and others in like regular combat gear, right? Now, at this point, Izuku's in the building, right? He's in the tunnels of the location. So what he does, he pops out at the church and runs like hell up there. Like, and they see him and they squeeze a couple shots off, which immediately cause them to think, he doesn't look like Boss. A Boss wouldn't run away from this. This guy actually might be a raider. They try to follow him. They eventually lose him around the lake because Izuku said fuck it and jumped in that bitch, getting himself significantly irradiated. But he would come out, pop a couple Rad-X, and right away, and he'll be fine. Right? So, almost immediately, the next couple of days on the south side of the border has been fucking gunfire. They're the Raiders versus the Gunners. And as we all know, the Gunners are significantly more powerful than the Raiders. These are late game mobs. So, they are slowly but surely pushing up and taking chunk after chunk of land from the Raiders. As this chaos is happening, he decided to take this to his advantage, sneak into the conquered place, take as much food, water, weapons, and ammunition as he could, and began fucking hoofing it. And I mean going as fast and as hard as he can to the place that he heard of called Diamond City. This is a couple-day venture just getting inside of Concord, because they turned that place into a fucking fortress really, really quick. Izuku would run into gunner incursions as well as raider and gunner incursions, and like run down out into Cambridge, which he would then and basically be in the all clear, right? He would be bougie and clear as fuck, and he would be perfectly fine. But then he would realize that these bridges are infested by boss flags, and he's just like, oh, this might be the, wait, no, this is Menford. Why the fuck are they so inland? Why are they're taking over? Oh, that's what they're doing. Pieces of shit. Alright. They want to play ball, I'll play ball. So, what Izuku does is take some Rad-X, swim into the water, get up underneath this bridge using various gear and equipment to start planting bombs. Just to sabotage trade routes with the boss, specifically. Well, the boss in this area, at the very least. During a caravan that was going over the bridge, the explosives would go off, killing half of them, and Izuku would deal with the rest. And he would proceed to do that to every other bridge. Basically, allowing very little trade to go into the into Medford, which would then get Diamond City's attention, as well as the Institute, Boston Airport, and Medford themselves, as well as Salem, and a small bit of Concord and Weston, but they're in the middle of their own war. They gotta handle their own shit, right? I really hope I wasn't muted there. I'm a pray that I wasn't muted, and I'm gonna keep going. But, during all that noise, so eventually Izuku would head down into this town, trade around, and just kind of stay there for a couple nights, right? There, he would learn of the railroad, and synths, and many things, which would then cause him to say, all right, I think I know what I'm going to do. So he goes down and does the same thing that he did to the North Bridges, to the mid-Boston bridges. Now, I know what you're thinking. Why is he doing this? Oh, that's simple. He wants to cut off any and all trade routes to the boss in general. Granted, the boss have boats, which do come from Boston Airport over to the docks, pick up their shit, and bounce, right? Which time and time again, Izuku would intentionally have more and more time to do what they need to. During him setting up, I'ma say like the last bomb, and it was right here, near Good Neighbor, and well, they were waiting for someone to do this shit. So it wasn't specifically the boss. It was more like Good Neighbor, right? Granted, Good Neighbor isn't really a caravan town, you know, but there's some good scrap up near Cambridge, you know what I'm saying? But let's just say Izuku gets kind of forced at gunpoint into the bounds of Good Neighbor. Granted, Izuku killed a lot of people before they kind of got him in a pinch to where it's either he dies or what. And since Good Neighbor is one of those towns where no one really gives a fuck who you are, right? Like, they don't like the boss in Good Neighbor. No one likes the boss. Except for fucking Diamond City. Right? And the boss hasn't found any way into the Institute yet. But it is safe to say that, like, the fact that the Institute exists and they're replacing people, like, it's not just a Diamond City thing or a Good Neighbor thing. That's an everywhere thing, right? Izuku would eventually talk to Hancock, right? And the conversation would basically go along the lines of, you hate the boss, I hate the boss. You could lay your head here because the boss aren't allowed on this part of the fucking channel. They're allowed, like, in this region, but even then it's kind of fucky. So Izuku does say why he's, like, blowing up those bridges, and it makes sense to Hancock, so he doesn't really bother with it, right? He doesn't give Izuku too much shit. But he does explain the particulars about, like, where he is, like, the unsaid rules, that kind of thing, right? And Izuku would realize, in all technicality, he was committing war crimes, but it's clear he doesn't really give a fuck, right? He was on the last bridge. He was gonna blow it up anyway, without good neighbors' go-ahead. But he did get Hancock's go-ahead in the end, so he did blow that bridge up. And the only way to get north to Cambridge to Boston is either by boat or by swimming across. So ain't that some shit, people? But don't worry, it gets better. Izuku has plans. Hands for Good Neighbor. Good Neighbor's his base of operations at this point in time. Granted, Izuku is a bit more headstrong about going at the boss directly, but he knows that if he tried that and they figured out, hey, the guy that's been fucking us rapidly, repeatedly, and roughly and raw is in our fucking one of our most heavily armed places. Let's go in and fucking curb stomp that kid. Like, nah, Izuku isn't stupid. So what he does is covert actions, just fucking up supply lines, to be honest. Izuku also, in a way, found other ways to do things, you know? More specifically. 1 minute, I need to scratch my foot. But, more specifically, Izuku blew up all these docks along, like, this side, so Diamond City can't use boats. Same with the fucking boss. Granted, they could dock anywhere, but it's not gonna be like a, hey, this is where we are, you know what I'm saying? That and Good Neighbor has been getting the profits of the caravans that Izuku has been breaking, that have been supposed to be going to the boss and shit. So, Izuku's basically paying taxes to Good Neighbor to allow him this action, right? So, he tells Hancock the plan of what he's gonna try and do. He says, alright, you see that big ass blimp? Yeah, I'm gonna shoot it down. Hancock's looking at him like he's insane. But Izuku's like, wait, hold on. Don't worry. I know weak spots because... insert reason. Insert bullshit reason. One charisma check later, it would cause for an easy reason. So... Izuku says there was supposed an old fort, wasn't there? Like, somewhere down in South Boston. We need to fucking swoop down there and take that shit. Well, at least that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna just need to ask for some settlers and guns afterwards, and people that know how to use their hands. The rest of them nod and they're like, alright then. So Izuku would move down here, having to cut through some Pharaoh ghouls and some super mutants along this other way, and eventually see what he was supposed to see. A big ass fort. And to be quite honest, he knows that's not controlled by the boss, because there are Minutemen flags there. This is a Minutemen remnant outpost, the very last one. And Izuku would sneak in and one by one kill them all, wiping out the Minutemen. This base now belongs to Izuku, and the last bastions of the Minutemen are gone. Their armory door left open. The research components for the mortars have been made. Izuku is ready for war. And that is exactly what he is going to do. After getting some people from up top to come swing down from Good Neighbor to arm the artillery, to be prepared to level the Predwin in specific locations, such as, well, mainly on the back of the Predwin, there is an engine that allows it to move forwards. He wants the Predwin to be dead in the water. He doesn't want that thing to be able to move for a very long time. So, what Izuku does is simple. He goes in position, and then he meets someone very interesting as he's moving back through. A man in a trench coat, dark skin, sunglasses says, "My employer would like to speak to you, sir." And he's like, who is your employer? It would make more sense if I just showed you. Izuku getting a read on this gentleman that he is no person. He is way too... He heard stories, but he didn't believe them to be true. He heard of corpses. And he says, "Does the Institute work for the United States government? That's all I need to know. For this conversation to keep moving." The Institute, who does still fall under the U.S. jurisdiction, yes. Take me there. Aye, aye. As he would be teleported into the Institute, where he would meet a man known as Ragus, or call him by his last name, Cade, and Cade is pretty open. That, and he's probably just as, if not more patriotic than Izuku, which is impressive. Izuku sees what they have made and how they have been doing it, and then gets told about the railroad again, which he realizes and does not like. So, granted, he doesn't see synths as people. Like, they are made. Granted, people with the FEV are made, but they were people. Deathclaws were made, but they have evolved into people. You know what I'm saying? Synths are pre-programmed with the memory of the person that they killed and took the place of. They are robots following protocol. That is it. So, when Izuku hears about the railroad, he goes to the fabled place. Is the map covering it up? Ah, no, here it is. Hey, Swan. Anyway. He ends up finding the Freedom Trail and follows it all the way to where they are. The railroad. With fake pretenses of joining, he found their entrance and exit. That is good. He also knows that they are working with the people up near the monument, up in Kingridge. It's a damn shame he made some friends with people there. But to make sure that these people are dealt with properly, Izuku presses a button that he was given in his pocket, which would then broadcast the location of where he is when he presses this button, to a teleporter. That teleporter then proceeds to flood the entire fucking vicinity of Izuku with 4 corpses and a couple of tier 2 and tier 3 synths. With Izuku there, and the 4 corpses, they wipe the place. No one makes it out alive. No one expected this quite so early. And then they would all teleport back. Izuku would begin running up, going into the place where he used to call home, and doing the same thing, but this time planting a bomb. It's dirty one, let me tell you that. It's the equivalency of a small warhead that he had teleported in, and in a small location that used to be used by the railroad to hide synths. Izuku then set that bitch to go off in 15 minutes, knocked the people that he liked unconscious, dragged them out of the city, left them each with 2,000 caps and a note, and began entering coordinates into his Pip-Boy, and being seen by a Brotherhood scholar, disappear. That is where we end this episode, with the Brotherhood of Steel realizing that there either is a new special type of synthetic that may be better made than the Courser, that has destroyed a major trading hub as well as the railroad. Izuku falling in line with the Institute and starting a small war with the Raiders and the Gunners, which the Raiders, in that time of Izuku's actions, would have lost, being scattered. After Izuku's victory, however, he found it enjoyable. It was adequate. Now please, all of you, everyone here who knows the good word, rise for your national anthem.